Hmm.
All right, guys, we are talking about chapter 14 today of our continuing saga and moving through ninja selling at a snail's pace. But we are being very thorough and really unpacking a lot of this because the material is simple, but sometimes it can be kind of dense. And I guess like deceptively simple might be a good way to phrase it, in that if you just examine it on the surface and you say, oh, well, it's about creating value, which is exactly what chapter 14 is about. Oh, just go and create value. Okay, yeah, cool, but how? How? And that's where we can start unpacking and doing a little deep dive and peeling back the layers of this and understand that there's truly a lot of depth to this. So chapter 14 is about that. It's about creating value. And it's just this idea that they're not going to pay you for your effort. They pay you for your value, what it is that you're bringing. And the chapter, I feel like that the text answers a really, really big question. And really, it also asks as a challenge to every real estate professional out there. And furthermore, if you expand it, anybody that's in any kind of a sales, or I would call it a service rather than sales industry, but because I kind of follow this idea, stop selling, start serving. But the question is, why should someone pay you? Why should they pay you? It's
Because you bring the value.
You're bringing value. And the answer really needs to be because you created value
Yeah.
greater than the cost. Whatever you're
Mhm.
bringing is worth more than what you're charging. That's it. It if you break it down like that, if we strictly look at this without emotions, all things aside, and we just put it on the scale, is our value exceeding our fee? And that's why someone should pay you. Not because that's the commission or whatever it may be. No, like, are you bringing value? The I think this is Kendall mentioned again this book, and I'm not familiar with it, and I'm tempted to go read it, The Go Giver. I think this is the second or third time that he's mentioned this book in the text, and when he quotes the text and he says, "Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than what you receive in payment." Kind of speaking to that that core idea, and I think that it's good to kind of put it like that because I think it reframes how agents think about their compensation. And so many times agents are trying to justify their compensation or sell this idea that they are worth whatever fee they're charging. But I would argue, and Kendall is arguing, that we need to instead flip this on its head and then ask ourselves, how do I create so much value that my compensation just becomes obvious? It becomes something that is not even,
Question.
not even really considered. Our client doesn't bat an eye at because they're like, oh, well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter because I know you're going to bring me so much value, then it's going to be far exceeding whatever I'm going to pay you. So it's whatever. It's just background. What were you saying, Lisa?
Is it, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Question.
Right.
It wouldn't be question.
Say that one more time. I didn't understand what you meant.
Like when they ask, well, why am I paying you this? And you show value, they
Oh,
wouldn't question it.
Oh, right. No, for sure. Yeah, and they wouldn't wonder about, well, why am I paying you? Because you're bringing so much value from the very beginning
Yeah.
that they're just like, okay, well, whatever. We
There's,
we
yeah,
get
there's
it.
no question how or why. They see it
Hmm.
right off the bat.
Hmm.
Got it.
And this is something that the problem with most salespeople is that they're focusing on the paycheck, on the close, on the transaction, whereas Kindle says ninjas focus on solving problems, improving outcomes, reducing pain, and increasing pleasure. That was two big parts of this were pain and pleasure, and we'll dive into that a little bit later as we kind of go throughout this text. But that's it. Solving problems, improving the outcomes, reducing pain, increasing pleasure. And one of the examples that he gave, and I forget who it was. He talked about a ninja who sat down with a seller, and he asked the seller, "Okay, are we selling wholesale or retail?" And
Right.
the seller was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And he kind of broke it down and said, "Well, there's two different markets because we've got foreclosures and short sales, and then we've got this." And he was able to say, "Okay, the difference between wholesale and retail is, I think it was like 25, $30,000 or something to that effect." But then he said, "Well, how do we?" The seller asked the agent, "How do we get there?" He said, "Oh, well, I think that if we do this, if we put, it was like what, 7,000 or $6,800 or something like that into the home, then." He felt like they could probably push up to the retail price point. Well, that's good value, right? If you can increase your profit margins by $25,000 with a $6,000 to $7,000 investment into the property, I'll take that, right? That's
Right.
a win. That's an absolute win. That's value. That's value. I think that Kendall did a really good job in the very beginning of this, and this is maybe kind of old school. I don't know, Kayla, I don't know how old you are. I'm sure that Lisa and I will remember this. Talked about going and buying a blank CD from the store.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, I was from them days.
you're
Burning
from them
CDs.
days. You bet that life.
Yes. I'm from them days.
And it reminded me, and I don't know, probably everybody had somebody that did this. I had this homeboy that he would go and buy all these blank CDs, and then he would make like these, I don't know, almost like these little mixtapes. I mean, it wasn't his original music, but he would build like these playlists on these CDs, and he would sell them.
Yep.
And he would sell them
Hmm.
sometimes for $10 a CD, and think about that, like, and then I don't remember how much they cost. I think Kendall's example was 50 cents, and well,
Yeah.
I'll trust that because it's been years. But if it is 50 cents, and like I said, my friend was selling that at $10, holy cow, that's
Yeah,
a
he was making some money.
that's a right. If we look at that in X thousands of percent over cost, but that was the value that he was creating, and people were buying it because he was putting something on there of substance that people wanted, that people desired. And it came to the point where he didn't have to go around with his little CDs and say, "Hey, I got this, I got that." People would come to him. And then people will come to him and they say, "Hey, I'm looking for this type of music, this type of genre, or whatever." And then he was good enough that he could say, "Okay, I got an idea of what you're looking for." And then he would go burn it and put it together for him.
So basically, he was selling DJ skills.
Selling DJ skills. But here's the deal, he was in the service industry and he
That's
was
right.
bringing value. And how
Hmm.
was he in the service industry? Because he had a little magic thing that he could do where people could come and say, "This is what I need," and he knew he was like,
He
"Boom, I
knew
Hmm.
got it."
exactly what
Right,
he was
He,
using.
right.
he knew how to do what people couldn't.
Right.
Correct.
And I think there's a really strong parallel there between my friend and the value that he brought and the service that
Hmm.
he brought and what it is that we do. And it's about asking the right questions.
Hmm.
What do you need? What is your problem? What's going on? This is why if you've ever sat in on any of my consultations, you will notice that I intentionally ask some very open and sometimes a little bit vague and ambiguous questions of people because I want them to just start talking.
Yeah.
Just start talking. And then I'm going to shut up. And then one of my favorite questions that I will also ask is, what else? What else? And until they tell me, "Jeremy, there's nothing else," I'm gonna keep listening. Because the idea here is that I need this information so that I can solve the problem.
Yep.
You need to listen more. And I think that even Kendall says that at some point. He talks about how a lot of the agents they talk more and listen less, but
Yeah.
ninjas they listen more and talk less.
Hmm.
So, just by virtue of asking the right questions, open-ended questions, and being a good listener, you're halfway to becoming a ninja.
Yes.
So, what do people actually value And this was something that Kendall talked about very beautifully. The way he kind of broke it down very simply, and I think he gave two examples. One was of some sort of an executive that was moving from like Chicago to Atlanta, and uh, here's this idea that, hey, this could be a painful process. So two things: one, to escape pain, and then two, to gain pleasure. So we have our executive that's moving from Chicago to Atlanta, and that's going to be that's going to be rough. She's got to figure out a way to get that household, get over, her whole family moved. There's a lot going on there, and people will pay to reduce pain
Yeah.
if you can help them. It's the avoidance of pain, and then chasing pleasure. And then on the flip side, the other example that Kendall gave was we've got this family that they have found, their dream home, their dream community is going to be a faster commute time. They want this dream. So if you can solve problems and help people realize dreams, there's value there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's absolute value there. Remember though that this is emotional for a lot of people. People aren't looking at a home and buying square footage, so many bedrooms, whatever it may be. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a lifestyle that
Right.
they're looking
That's what
for.
I preach. You're buying
Mhm.
a lifestyle. Mm-hmm.
This is where they're going to do life.
Right.
And these things like square footage, bedrooms, et cetera, these are the mechanisms by which we can, use to describe, maybe what it is that they're looking for. But at the end of the day, you got to understand what their needs are. And this
Mm-hmm.
is for those that have sat down with me. You see me do the dream home worksheet, and I will ask them to write down everything. And if you guys are coming to my class tomorrow, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to do this live and in person as well. And I will show you how to do it. But we go through and we ask them, okay, what are you looking for in a dream home? This many bedrooms. And then they'll just write everything and anything. But then I'll come back and I'll actually have them shorten it down to three.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Lisa, that was hard for you whenever we did that exercise. But
Because
then
I'm
here's
not a
but
basic.
here's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest part of this. Here's the most important part. See, you got stuck on three, but let's not miss the most important part is we have the what. Okay, we have what square footage, we have what bedrooms, but then we go why?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you put that you need four bedrooms? Oh, well, I want to have a guest bedroom for my sister that comes and visits me, every okay, so now we're starting to understand about the lifestyle that they want.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand people's why, what their motivations are. Ask better questions.
Yep, that's why you get to know them first. That's why this is a
So let me
relationship business.
so let me ask a question. So what if, okay, because my son is anyway, my son, like, you talk to him and he's like, he got his own house years back. And I talked to him and I said, well, why did you select that house?
Mhm.
That's that 309 Pinto Drive that I've been trying to, you
It's not in
know.
a flood zone, Lisa. It's not in a flood zone.
Okay, whatever, Jeremy, I think it is. All right. But he's like, well, I just need a room and a place to lie my head.
Mhm.
How do you how would you change the way somebody looks at the house?
It's not your job to change the way they look at it. It's your job to move to them. I've got a
Mm-hmm.
guy right now. He's a single guy and he has a very similar mindset. And where he says, "Hey, I'm just looking for somewhere to lay my head." Now, I did ask some pointed questions, and through that we were able to learn that what he is also doing is he's considering tomorrow. He's
Okay.
considering finding one day potentially a partner, and he wants to bring value to his partner as well. See,
Okay.
that was so on the surface, he was saying, "Oh, I just need some place to lay my head." But here's the deal. What I learned by asking the right questions, what he was actually doing was he was building his own little nest, his own little kingdom, or the beginnings of it, because what he
But that is my question.
Mhm.
That's my question. My question is how, what kind of questions do you ask to bring to surface what they're really looking
Mhm.
for?
I start myself personally with, and I stole this from Micah. She taught this. I wish I could claim credit for this, but I got to give her props on this. It's the Holy Grail question, is what she calls it. I
Mm-hmm.
ask it of every single person, buyer and seller. What is going on in your life that has you thinking about a move or a change?
Mm-hmm.
And then I shut up because that's a very broad, very open-ended question. And
Mm-hmm.
you will get them talking. You'll know from there, like what's going on with them. And by that, what I mean is if they're your people or not. Sometimes you ask that question and hold on, you're in for an hour of talking, of listening. Sometimes also it cannot be fun. And by that, what I mean is sometimes again, let's go back to our main reasons, pain and pleasure, right?
Right,
Sometimes people are buying a home because they got a new job or they got they're having a baby or whatever. There
right.
was a situation one time I had a young couple that they were selling their home because their new child died in that home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Painful, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, so you start, I would argue, with that question, with that holy grail question, what's going on in your life that has you thinking about a move or a change, and then listen. And if you're listening for certain things, you're going to be able to pivot off of that. And a lot of times I'm writing whenever this happens. When I hear those things, I will just quickly jot them down about maybe some, notable events or notable things that I'm starting to discern that maybe this could be important. This is a value piece for them. This is something they really care about.
Um,
And then I will come back and I will ask more open-ended questions about kind of like those bullets that are within it because people talk and then they sometimes in their communication, in their talking, in their, I'm not going to call it rambling, but they're sorting it out themselves almost. And so you just got to keep listening and let them work through it. And then they hit it. You're like, oh, there it is. Boom. And then you write that down. And then they might talk for another 5 minutes. Oh, I found another little gem there. And then go back and ask those open-ended questions specifically about what it is that those gems that you're able to pull out. And then from there,
I mean, I have
it
to
becomes a
watch
spider
my,
web.
yeah, I have to watch myself with that because I'm sharp sometimes. And like I'll hear, well, all I need is a piece of land and a little hut with a room in it. And
Hmm.
I'm like, that's great. I'll put you in a stick cabin and I'll bring my little girls and I'll put them up where they need to be
Hmm.
instead and put you out, with a boat somewhere so you could fish for your food. Friggin' stupid.
So these are your own biases coming into play here.
Correct.
Is it
And I got it, and
is
that's
it
what
biases or
so
biases? I don't know.
So that's why I should ask that question.
Mhm.
What's going on in your life? That's what I
Nope.
was trying to
It's
get
not
to
about you,
so that I can pull it out because I'll hear some craziness. Well, and I'm like, dude, go live in a closet.
but you're judging. We listen and we don't judge.
I'm trying, Jeremy. I'm trying.
It is hard. It is hard
It's
because
hard because I really sometimes want to just slap people, but I'm really nice, actually.
you got to meet people where they are, though.
Yeah, I have to
and
learn.
and different people have different tolerances, different people have different value sets. I have walked into homes that and showed them to buyers, and in my mind I'm like, this place is terrible. I
Right.
wouldn't live there. I wouldn't want to live there, and I'm thinking that they're going to hate this place.
And they
And
love
then
it.
and they love it. They love it because it's about different tolerances, different cultures, different upbringings. There's a million factors that go into this, and that's why you have to remain neutral throughout,
I know, and
emotionally
it's
neutral.
hard for me because it wasn't like I came from all this money. I built where I am. I
Mhm.
struggled to get to where I am. And I guess I expect that of other people.
There it is, and there it is. And there it is, your own bias coming into play here.
Yeah.
It frustrates you when you see people not working as hard as you did. You want people to have the same ambition, and because you see that as a value, you see that as an honorable character trait. And when people don't possess that or they're not showing that, you say, "Oh, well, you start to form an opinion about them."
Yeah, I guess so.
I know I'm like stinging you a little bit here, but
No, I mean it's true. I get upset about things like that. Like if I see you trying, I just want to see some sort of try. I
yeah.
don't even want you to try that hard. I just
Yeah.
want to see you put in some type of effort, some type of
I
move,
hear you. Now, my
anything.
confession is this. I share that exact same sentiment because I'm the same way. I was growing up like just quintessential white trash. Like lived in a trailer. I grew up around a lot of domestic violence, all the things. And
Yeah,
I performed horribly in high school. I barely graduated, but I rose above that and I have achieved at least, I think, some level of success. So I do feel like, and especially whenever I start looking at other young men, especially if they have a family, do I feel some type of way? Yes, but here's the deal. It's not about me. It's their life, not mine. And
all
that's why
right.
I gotta just deal with it.
So
Like,
so what you're telling me is just wear shades because apparently people could read my face.
I would say that I would say you might want to go into it already. Like prep yourself. Let's go back to this conversation about pregame rituals.
Yeah,
And
That's a form.
part of that maybe for you needs to be having a conversation with self and saying their values may not reflect your own, and that's okay because it's their life and not yours.
Hmm.
And then
And
you won't have the gas face whenever they say something that you disagree with.
I
And
can't help my face.
that's a form of comparison. That is so, it's not a good, it's not good.
I'm trying. That's why I was like, what kind of questions can I ask that'll get me to understand where they're at
Mhm.
so that I could be more understanding
Yeah.
to their situation
Yeah.
and to where they're at in the phase that they're in.
I hope that you're going to get some value out of our class tomorrow because Brittany is so the way that we do this demo, Brittany plays our agent and I typically play our home buyer. And I when we do this, I don't go easy on her. Sometimes I'll throw some curveballs or I'll shut down or whatever. And I will do that. So, and there's really very few better than Brittany when it comes to, man, very gently. It's like velvet, the way she like kind of like pulls the door open and pulls it out of you. And I am hopeful that you'll see some great examples of that tomorrow. And it will give you some, maybe some ideas about some processes that you can use. But at the end of the day, there's no substitute for doing.
Yeah.
And, of course, we want to do this initially in a controlled environment through rehearsals, you know, uh,
And I really need to look at it like how I deal with each one of the vets that I deal with.
mhm,
I say just mostly with them, I just listen to what's happening with them.
mhm.
I don't have any opinions. I don't care.
Well, part of this, I think, for you, and if I can challenge you a little bit here, I think from what I hear about you and what I know about you, you give a lot of vets a pass. And the reason why you do that is because you recognize that they have endured some trauma, probably, especially if they're combat veterans. And so you kind of say, well, they're like that because this happened or that happened and they can't help it.
Yeah.
So they get a pass from Lisa. Those
Yeah.
that don't have that, they don't get a pass from Lisa and you're doing the frowny face, and so you're like, oh, But this is where I would challenge you to, they don't owe anything to you. They only owe it to themselves and whoever else they're accountable for in their life, their family, their children, whatever it may be. And you know, this is where we have
Yeah,
to get
I
over
think that's
ourselves.
yeah. that- You're I think you hit that's a chord with me because I when I deal with these people, I know that they've suffered a lot. And
Yeah.
so I pulled back anything and I just listen and figure out how to help them.
Yeah. And I do the same thing whenever I talk to a lot of veterans, because like most guys from my generation, and I say guys, that's gender neutral, just to be clear. Uh, I give them a pass as well because I experienced the same trauma and I get it and I'm used to them being assholes. So
Yeah,
I'm just like, whatever, they can't help it, you know? So I get it. But it's because like I understand that trauma and I've experienced it as well. And this is my challenge as well as a person is to show empathy for something I haven't experienced or don't understand.
right.
That sucks. It's hard to do. It's not natural
That's
for me.
that's very hard to do, but I just
My
okay.
wife beats me up on
And
it all the time.
Kayla is right with, I guess that's comparison. And I'm like, you're supposed to get up, you're supposed to do this, but some people aren't that way in the
Mhm.
particular stage of life that they're in.
And they
Because
may
I
never
wasn't
be.
like that all the time. It took something to shake me,
Hmm.
to make me stand up and say, hang on a minute, this is
Hmm.
not what I want.
Meet people where they are, I would
Yeah,
say,
I
that's
love
it.
that. Meet
I
people
love
where
it.
they are.
with
I love
without
that.
I
judgment
love it.
and or criticisms, you're not responsible for them. The only
Yeah.
thing that you are responsible for is giving them the service that they deserve, you know, meeting them where they are, bringing value, which is, kind of the core idea of what we're talking here about here.
So
And
basically, treat them all like if they were all vets.
like they are your children, I would say.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. You get kind of
I don't
spicy
Why
with
you
know.
me on
gotta
this
say
Carmen
one.
that?
is
Because if you can empathize and you can, understand where they're coming from, the
Mhm.
vets, you can do that on the other end too for civilians.
I mean, that's
okay.
a really good point, Kayla. You've demonstrated the ability to do this.
Hmm.
You are capable of it. So it's not a matter of whether Lisa can or cannot. It's about whether Lisa will or will not put aside your bias for this individual that you feel like maybe shouldn't be acting that way, but that's how they are.
I gotta work on that.
We all have points, girl.
I
I
have to work on
my
that.
list of faults are like you could fill volumes and
So long. And
libraries.
and the thing is, I'm
Me
so
too.
soft with everything else, but when it comes to specific things,
Hmm.
I'm an asshole. I can't help it. And I might not say anything, but you'll see it
Hmm.
because I'll go, mm-hmm.
Well, and this is why we need to understand their situation, and
Yes.
that's what it's about. And kind of returning back to the text, it's about talking less
Okay.
and listening
And
more.
listening.
Hmm. Ask, listen, understand. Find the need, fill the need. Well, how do you find the need? You have to ask those right questions, those
Right.
open-ended questions. And at the end of the day, we have to remember. And I tell people all the time, I'm not in sales. I've never sold a house in my life.
Right.
What I've done is I've been a problem solver, I've been a guide, I've been an advisor, I've helped people, I've brought value.
Yeah.
And
So and that's a good way to look at everything is like, how can I help you?
mhm,
Instead of like, what can I get you? What can you make me? How can I help you make your life better?
mhm.
Okay.
I'm coaching an agent out in New Jersey right now, and I had a conversation with her yesterday, and she said she's a buyer's agent. She's kind of stuck in a rut. She feels like she's not resonating with people. And I asked her uh, to summarize her value proposition. I said, if I'm a new buyer, why should I work with you? And she listed all these things off. And I challenged her and I said, okay, that's what every agent does. What are
What's
you
different?
doing that's different? And so what's your unique value proposition? Emphasis on unique. Because if anybody else can do it, is it valuable? If anybody else can do it, is it valuable? This is the reason why laborers don't make as much money as neurosurgeons.
See,
Because,
Micah called it. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry, Jeremy. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, please continue.
Micah called it, I like how you say unique. Micah calls it a unique marketing plan.
Hmm. And so that's going to vary as well from person to person situation. And now, if we're talking
Hmm.
about a marketing plan, like the first thing I think of is a listing, and I'm going to think about the very specifics of that home, and you need to
Hmm.
tailor that plan towards that listing. But in the same way, your value proposition, your unique value proposition, should be tailored to what it is that you bring that is different from anybody else in the marketplace. Anybody else, and it needs to be centered on value. Anybody can put somebody on an auto search on the MLS. Oh, I'm going to find you all the houses out there in the market. Okay, I can do that on Google.
Right.
What are you doing differently? And I think that's the real challenge that a lot of agents have is one, understanding, and then two, communicating that. And then really the third part is actually doing it because they're too busy trying to get into the transaction instead of getting into somebody's needs.
Okay. So what would be a valuable, what would a good, what would you say to that question?
Hmm.
Other than, well, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. How would you make yourself stand out?
You do it by connecting with people, and because here's the deal, it goes back to this quote from Maya Angelou. People, aren't going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how you
How
made them
they
feel.
felt.
Right. And so
Hmm.
if you actually truly sit down and ask the right questions and understand them without judgment and
Hmm.
work with them through their problem, their pain, or their pleasure, their dream, you're going to be the one that solved their problem. You're going to be the one that helped them realize their dream. That's the value. It's very large in it's the way that we phrase it. But when we break it down, it goes all the way back to asking the right questions. Find the need, fill the need.
Hmm.
And that's where most agents they don't do that. They open doors, they send MLS searches. If that's all you're doing, AI will replace you. But if you are helping people with the problem in their life, if you are reducing stress, if you're bringing clarity, if so many times whenever I sit down and do my consult with somebody, they themselves don't have a true idea of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But then I ask them, I say, what are you looking for from this conversation today? And they give me some very broad, ambiguous phrase. Oh, well, we're trying to get information. Okay, well, about what? About the home buying process. Okay, but why? And so by asking those questions, they're like, oh, it really starts to become clear to them. Okay, what is it that I truly need? And then in doing so and asking those right questions, you're bringing clarity. You're helping people understand, okay, what is it that I'm truly looking for? It's this lifestyle, but why do I want this lifestyle? And what is it specifically that I want it for? Your person that you mentioned, oh, I just want to stick and I just want to, a single room and I just want to be a roof over my head. Okay. But why? I would argue, or I suspect rather, I'm not going to argue, I suspect, and then I would start to ask questions to this end about maybe this is about them looking for some sort of peace. They maybe they're tired of the noise of the world. They don't want to be bothered or whatever. What? She's cracking up over there.
That's not what I would have said. See, I have to watch myself. Okay.
But right, so they're but
Yeah.
they it sounds like they want a refuge. They want a cave.
Maybe
They
they
want
need mental help and I need to set them up with better health so they can talk out their
I
problems.
mean, sometimes that's the solution, sometimes that's the problem also. Let's be real. But you see where I'm going here is that they're looking for something. And and that's where the value and is in helping them even uncover it themselves. And if you can uncover it and then work to help them achieve either, that absence of pain or to achieve that pleasure, that dream, that's it. That's your value. You're not going to be able to be replaced. But if you're
Yeah.
just unlocking doors and sending searches, AI's got you. You're done. You're cooked. You're toast. So that would be my question is what is your unique value proposition? And if you don't know what it is, workshop it with me. We will sit down individually and we will brainstorm and we will pull it out. And that's what a good coach will do. We'll ask you those questions and yank it out of you. Maybe
Yeah.
nudge is a better word here. What value do clients actually receive from working with you? Not with a real estate professional, but with you. And then once you discover that, this becomes part of your message. This becomes part of your branding. This becomes a part of what you do and what service you bring. Are you spending more time pitching to people or discovering the problems? These are
That's what
questions
I
you
feel
can ask.
like I am because I don't really, a lot of times I don't really, I can't sell like
Don't
I
sell.
can tell you this glasses is great, but what I do is like, what do you need these glasses? Like,
Mhm,
why do you need these glasses?
mhm,
Well, I need them for this. Well, what do you need them for? Do you need them to match all your outfits? Is this only the only glasses you're gonna have? Like, talk to me about what it is that you need. So,
mhm,
I mean, it's something that I do anyway.
mhm.
So, a lot of what
You're
he's
halfway
saying,
there.
yeah, I'm rough around the edges.
Need
And
some
we'll
polish.
laugh
Need
at
some
it.
polish on you is all,
I need some polish because I'm not right.
Well, and we all do. And I definitely have my moments. And sometimes whenever I'm sitting in front of a client, honestly, like I'm screaming inside. But that's where but I have to check myself.
Yeah,
Like it's not
yeah,
about you, Jeremy. And it's hard. It's hard to reach that point of like, true, genuine, like, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Just remember this, and I guess maybe the best way to kind of like phrase this and round this out would be that the agents that survive long term are not going to be the best salespeople.
no,
They will be the best problem solvers, though. And you do that by asking those the right questions.
yeah.
Um, so
Okay.
questions on chapter 14.
Kayla,
She's over there. I see her engaged with something else. She's got
I'm
something.
sorry.
oh,
Cause we trying to figure out this open house thing. And the
Kayla,
listing agent finally texts me back. It's Callie. I don't know if you know Callie, Callie Hoban. She be so busy and
I don't know.
it's hard to get her. She's at All City right now. She used to be at Elevate. But no questions. I love
okay.
it.
Well, if you guys have no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and